Oh, college football, you're almost here. You're almost here. But since you're almost here, it's time for a playoff prediction. And I've been actually waiting for this for a while. And now I have the chance. But before we predict this glorious college football playoff prediction, we need to start with who wins what conference. And also, here is your playoff schedule. It is the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl and the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. That will be part of the college football playoffs. So, there you go. Okay. Now, the two other major conferences, I think we all agree, that is basically the AAC and Mountain West. And the Mountain West team, who's going to win that conference, and who the teams are going to go to as well. Well, for the Mountain West Conference, I'm going with Boise State versus Fresno State again, and I think Boise State wins that one. And for the AAC, I'm going with UCF versus Houston, but I think UCF wins that game. Now, let's get to these conferences. The ACC. Well, Clemson has a goal to repeat. They had that goal once, but they failed. But the question is, will they win that goal this time? Now, Clemson clearly is going to go there. Clearly. And for the Coastal... I can't even say it. It's really hard to pick who else for them to go against. And I might have to go with... People are probably going to hate me when I'm about to say. I'm going to go with Miami. I think Miami will have some sort of weird bounce back season and just get back in there. Now for the Big Ten. Now I'm going to be quite honest with you. The Big Ten this year, to me, is the most interesting conference this year. No Urban Meyer. What happens? What happens next? Well, for the East of the Big Ten, well... I got 4 teams in mind: Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. It's really hard to pick between those 4. A part of me wants to pick Ohio State, but another part of me does not. The reason why I'm saying that, because Ohio State, yes, they are ranked really high. They're clearly the favorite, but there's no Urban Meyer. Can a head coach into his first year really do what Urban did in Ohio State? It's really going to be hard. Michigan, who knows? Penn State, I don't know. Michigan State, who knows? But for the west side of it, I will actually pick Wisconsin. I don't know why. I just feel like Wisconsin is going to have one of those seasons where they just look all of a sudden really good. I don't know why. I just feel like they will. So, the west, I have Wisconsin. And for the east... you people are going to hate me for it. I'm going to pick... Oh my god, I already hate myself for saying Michigan. I'm going with Michigan versus Wisconsin in the Big Ten Championship. That's who I'm going with. I'm already seeing dislikes already. Even before this video got uploaded. I already sensed it. For the SEC. Let's start with the SEC, ladies and gentlemen. For the West, Alabama. No other competition, unless you want to call LSU in competition. For those who think LSU is a competition, that is a joke still. And for the East, it's basically can be anybody. Kentucky, Georgia, and Florida. Those are the 3 teams in the East. I think Florida has a shot. But I'm going with Georgia. And who wins the SEC? Everybody knows who's going to win the SEC. It's Alabama. Don't get your hopes up, LSU fans. Don't get your hopes up. And now for the Big 12. The Big 12... It's going to be very interesting to see how the Big 12 goes this year. I'm not like gigantically there with Oklahoma, but I think Oklahoma and Texas will meet again. But I will actually, I'm just not there with Oklahoma. I don't trust their defense more than Texas, so I'm going... here comes another dislike. I'm going with the Texas Longhorns to win the Big 12. All right, my team's conference, the Pac-12. I'm sorry about that. The Pac-12 man, Pac-12 is going to be interesting. Somehow Utah is favored to win the Pac-12. I'm very curious why. Now for the North, it's going to probably come down to Oregon, Stanford, and Washington. Unless Washington State somehow comes out of nowhere like they did last year. But I personally don't see that really happening. But really, in all seriousness, it comes down to Oregon and Washington. Oregon's got everybody back on their offensive side except for their top wide receiver left for the drafts. But really, it's going to be so interesting to see Oregon this year. Now, I will pick Oregon and win the North because of the recruiting class. And I feel like Mario Cristobal is going to take another big step. I don't know why. A head coach so far since Chip Kelly, a new head coach in his second year, makes it a big step so far. But who knows? And for the South, the South has been tricky. If you guys remember the last time there was a team repeating the South crown, let me know, because I really can't remember. Utah is the best bet. However, I don't think it's going to be Utah. I think it's going to be Arizona State, personally. I think Arizona State wins the South. The Pac-12 championship will be Oregon versus Arizona State. You people already know who I'm going to go with. I probably would go with Oregon. Not to be biased, it's just opinion. Now for the playoff spot. Number 1, Clemson. Number 2, Bama. And now this is where everything gets complicated. Now, teams like Notre Dame, a team like Notre Dame, the best chance of them making the playoffs is if they go undefeated. That's the best chance they got. I know many people are wondering, what about any team in the Pac-12? Well, if any team in the Pac-12 can at least have one loss, they have a better shot of making it because they would have to win also their conference. But, yeah. Notre Dame, if they're going to make it in there, they have to have an undefeated season. There's no other way. And then you have a team in the Big Ten where I just don't know. I still would pick Michigan to win, but at the same time, it's just so hard to put a team in the Big Ten, I think. It's just this year will be a little bit difficult. I don't think really gigantically anybody's going to make anybody in the Big Ten will make it, but maybe have a shot. Will Oregon make it? I just don't know. They have to afford one loss. They would have to afford at least one loss. But really, if Oregon loses, if that one's loss is against Auburn, then that's not good. If it's in a Pac-12 team, then that's fine, because think about it. Let's say the Pac-12 teams like UCLA beats Oklahoma, Arizona State beats Michigan State, and Oregon beats Auburn, and Cal beats Ole Miss. I'm not saying those are going to happen. Let's just say they do. Then think about the respect the Pac-12 would get. Let's say that those happen and Pac-12 gets much respect. It would prove that they're back in that type of conversation of being a legit conference. But if Oregon loses to Auburn, then you could say their season's over. Now, if it's against, it just cannot be Auburn. If it's against Washington, fine. But if not, only Auburn, well, that's a disappointing season. Then you have a chance of 2 SEC teams. Do I think there will be 2 SEC teams this year? No, I don't. Here's why. For an SEC team an SEC team to make it in there, it has to be Georgia. If I had to put 2. That's my second option. But you have to run into Bama. Now, I know all you LSU fans are going to be delusional again. But even if that does happen, if LSU makes it, you still have to play Georgia or Florida. And really, you just look at that situation. The problem is you got to beat Bama. And you're going to run into Bama. Anybody's going to run into Bama in the SEC. It'll be a shock if LSU makes it. It'll be a shock if Auburn somehow makes it. But overall, I just look at the SEC. I just don't see two teams in the same conference making it again. I just can't. What about a team like UCF? What are the odds UCF is going to make it in there? They could have another all the way undefeated season. And yet, nothing happens. They're just the same UCF team that gets disrespect. Boise State, if they had to go undefeated, they're going to be in that same situation. No respect. Because you're a low-class conference. Yeah, I'm ripping on Dragon Ball Z right there. Low class. Yeah. But at number 3, oh my God, I'm probably gonna have to go with Michigan at number 3. And number 4, this is literally, like I said, if a team like Notre Dame has to make it in there, they have to have an undefeated season. For Oregon or any Pac-12 team to make it in there, they have to at least have one loss. And it has to be in their conference. This is tough. This really is a tough decision. And then you have the fans who believe that there'll be a chance of 2 SEC teams. Now, if the SEC team loses in the SEC title game, and that's the only loss, then that's a different situation because maybe they do have a shot to make it. But overall, who do I think gets number 4? It comes down to Texas, Notre Dame, and Oregon. Notre Dame, like I said, has got to have an undefeated season. Oregon cannot lose to Auburn. They have to afford at least one loss in the Pac-12, and it has to be a respectful team like Washington or even Stanford if they beat UCF or somebody. But then you have, like I was mentioning, Texas. Is the Big 12 really good? Because I just don't. I think the reason why I'm saying that is because the Big 12 teams are just not mostly complete. They're not a completed team. That's why I'm picking like Texas to win the Big 12. To me, they're the most completed team in the Big 12. But it's not really that close. So really, number 4 spot. And remember, this is just opinions. It's nothing about bias or anything. But I'm going with Oregon in the number 4 spot. So I got. And who was in the national championship, in my opinion? Well, it's sadly, I think, Clemson and Alabama. And I do believe Clemson repeats the national championship. That's my prediction. Remember, like I said, there's no bias. If I was biased, then I would have picked Oregon to win all the way. That's too biased, okay? I mean, what do you want me to say on the number 3 and 4 spots? They're just too hard to think. Too hard. Like I said, Notre Dame would have to have another undefeated season. The Big 10, who knows? The Big 12, it's not a completed team conference where teams are not completely built, meaning they only focus on one thing. And that's why I just feel like about Oklahoma. Oklahoma, to me, just focuses too much on offense. Their defense, I'm just not there with them. But what are your guys' predictions? Who goes in the playoffs and who wins it all? Leave a comment down below. Hit the like button and share it with your friends. Subscribe for more videos like this one. This is Teach TV Tank Mode. Signing off.